What is up, my hunting brothers and sisters? Today we're going to modify yet again the Fourth Arrow 3.0 camera arm system as we try and figure out what is the perfect camera arm for self-filming and filming hunts in general. All right, so for any of you that have followed along, this would be my fourth video on the new Fourth Arrow 3.0 camera arm system. Those who have followed along know that I've been a harsh critic of the Fourth Arrow products, but I also really like them as well. And the reason I've been a critic is I think that there is just little tweaks that could have been done to make the product even better. So I did an initial review video, I'll link that down below. I did a modification video where I modded the bottom here. And then I also did a video comparing the Fourth Arrow to the Muddy Hunter camera arm, which has kind of been the gold standard somewhat of camera arms. It is far from perfect though. So my issue with the Fourth Arrow 3.0 system is not the mobile hunter setup. I know that's how a lot of people are buying them, and that's with the Talon base that you attach to the back. Throw it in saddle hunters, guys with climber stands, guys who are hanging hunt on public land or just bouncing around a lot. Awesome. I still think there's improvements there. I think that needs to have at least 1.5 inch cam over type of strap on that, but that's a whole different animal. I hunt primarily out of fixed tree stand locations on private property. I've got about 20 of them, and so I need a bunch of different bases in different locations. I bought a dozen of the bases, and so these will go at every one of my trees. As I said in a different video, I believe this base, in my opinion, is way undersized. For my application, this setup goes out with me one time and one time only, and that's when I'm going to set up for initially at the season. It might be when I hang my stand, it might be on my first trip to hunt out that stand, and then that's going to stay there until after seasons are done and we'll pull it off. I don't care how big it is, I don't care how much it weighs, I don't care about the bulk. All I care about is I want it to be rock solid. So what you see here on the top is this is the Fourth Arrow 3.0 base that you buy. It comes with a 1-inch ratchet strap right here. This is the 3.0 shoulder. I have the arm down here. We'll look at that in a minute. I've been saying all along, and I said this back when I had the 1.0s and 2.0s, the 1-inch ratchet strap is too small, it's too flimsy for the whole setup. What you see here is a mod that I've done with a 2-inch ratchet strap right here. These ratchet straps are basically the cheap kind that you go and buy in any Tractor Supply or Rural King or Menards or Lowe's or whatever. They're really pretty cheap. I've got this one here, as tight as I can get it. I cannot go another click on this one right here. This is a 2-inch ratchet strap that I bought. We're going to go over where I bought them for a second. This one right here is about as tight as I can get it. And I can tell you, big handle and everything, it's much easier to get tight. So let's look at a couple of specs on these because I can't remember all the numbers. I've got them pulled up here on my phone. So just what I did was I bought these from a website called ratchetstraps.com. And if I look at their 1-inch ratchet strap that they have, basically they have a 1,500 pound breaking strength and on the ratchet itself, and a 3,000 pound breaking strength on the actual ratchet material. Okay, that sounds like a lot, but we're going to show you a comparison here. On a 2-inch, you have in the ratchet hardware a 4,400 pound breaking strength, and in the strap itself a 6,000 pound breaking strength. So it is twice as strong in the strap material and about 3 times stronger in the ratchet hardware itself. Now, just buying from ratchetstraps.com, I don't know what Fourth Arrow pays for their stuff. I'm sure they get great deals, but in an endless loop 6 foot long, this ratchet strap setup would be about $4.25. Okay, by comparison, the 2-inch that I bought here in 6 foot long is $5.75. So for like $1.50 more, you can have a 2-inch ratchet strap. I bought a dozen of these things from ratchetstraps.com. I have no affiliation with them whatsoever, no affiliation with anybody in the tree arm market. I bought a dozen of these 6-foot camo straps, heavy duty, with shipping, $92.39. That comes out to about $7, a little over $7.50 a piece, less than $7.75 a piece shipped for this. My point being is that Fourth Arrow could have offered a 2-inch version of this setup or done a 2-inch version of setup for just a few dollars more than what they've got here. So let's take a look at what are the benefits in the inch versus the 2-inch setup. So here is the 3.0 base, and we are going to put it on the 1-inch setup and lock it down tight. And I have the triple arm. Okay, you can insert whatever arm you want in there. I have the triple arm. We can level it up a little bit here. I do like their leveling system. Still think this knob is way too small diameter if you look at any of my other videos. That's how you get it from them. Here are my concerns. Now maybe this isn't a concern for everybody, but I want as stable a footage as possible. And when I sit here and I push on this, I get a lot of movement right here in this whole base. And again, I've got this as tight as I can get it. A 1/16 of an inch of movement here translates to almost a 1/2 inch of movement up and down out here. So minimizing movement here reduces movement out here. So that flexes. You can see it. I'm going to zoom in and you can see this thing flexing quite a bit. And again, that's as tight as I could get it. I'm afraid of breaking this kind of flimsy ratchet arm right here if I go any tighter. That's a lot of movement. Okay? So let's compare it to the 2-inch version right here. Pull this out. They do a nice job on their tolerances making that tight. My mod, which is sweet, makes it so nice. It all stays together. Drop that in. Tighten it down. This is again the 2-inch. And we'll level it a little bit just so it doesn't move on us. Now, the 2-inch version of this, there is no movement back here at all. Like nothing. So that's the big advantage here is the tighter and more solid this is, the less you get out here. You're never eliminating the bounce, ever. You can't eliminate it with a Muddy Hunter arm. Go to the old Muddy Boss Hogs, you can't eliminate it. But you want it as little as possible. So that is the 2-inch mod that I invested another 92 or 93 bucks in for all 12 of my bases that I have. And I'm going to show you how we can modify this base for the 2-inch strap. Super easy. So stay tuned. Okay, so welcome to the mess that is my workbench. I'm going to show you how to make this into accepting a 2-inch strap. The basic items that you're going to need obviously is a base. You need a tape measure of some sort. You need something sharp to scribe into the paint or mark it. This is an old broken tool that makes scratch in the metal. You can use a small screwdriver. You will need a small screwdriver or something to pull out a tab of metal. You will need a flat file to clean up edges and a Sawzall with a metal saw blade. This is a 12-inch saw blade. You can go 10 or whatever. You could do short. I found longer is better. And you also need a good solid bench vise. This is something I salvaged out of my grandfather's house after my grandma passed away. And so anyways, I use that. All right, so first things first, the slots on these are about 1.5 inches. So we need to open the slot up to 2 inches. So we're going to come down here to this end and we're going to cut out about 1/2 inch. And we only need to go the width of the gap right here. That's all we need. So we're going to measure this and mark it. Half an inch. And again, I'm just scribing a line, and you don't have to be too exact. Just want to make sure you get a 1/2 inch or maybe a fuzz more. And that just tells me where to stop cutting. Now we're going to take our Sawzall blade and we're going to cut down to this line on both sides. You're going to have to make 2 cuts though, because the Sawzall blade is not wide enough for the actual strap. So what I like to do is I like to come in and go tight up against this side and cock it at an angle and come out tight against that side. And then I can crisscross the other cut and clean it up. And you want to make sure you start nice and slow to make sure your cuts are on the planes you want before you really dive into it. And then you're going to cock it back the other way, and I'm going to come down this side of the metal and up tight against the back. And again, you're going to start very slow and then you can speed it up. Now it looks really good. All right, so what you can see is you're left with on both sides a little tab of metal that sometimes goes all the way up. It kind of depends on how the saw blade gets in there. You need to break that off. Sometimes a little screwdriver works well. I actually find sometimes a larger one does. I just go right beside it and I twist it, and you can pop that little piece of metal out of there. Sometimes you got to dig it out a little bit, work it a couple times back and forth, and it comes right on out of there. Then using a flat file, you're going to take that file and stick it in the groove that you've just cut. And you're going to basically work that file back and forth on that bottom edge to remove a burr. Spend a minute or so just kind of filing it out. You can take that same file, hit some of the edges, clean those up just a little bit, like that little tip right there along the edge. If you get a really sharp spot, you could take like a little piece of emery cloth and you could sand all that stuff out. Then you got a nice smooth edge, and then just do it with the other side as well. Now what you can see is we've created a slot that we can easily pass a 2-inch strap right on through. All your scratches when you cut, if you want to, you can just hit them with some flat black paint after you're done. And that is the end result. All right, so I hope that video has been super helpful. If you are interested in making this base system more stable to give you better and more stable footage when you're filming this fall, this mod's not for everybody. It's not mandatory. It's not necessary, quote unquote, but it is making a huge improvement in the overall system. So I would encourage you, if that's your goal, then make the mod. You can do it relatively inexpensively. If you don't want to make the goal and it's not your thing, stick with the original. It's good enough. It does a decent job. So with that, I encourage you to get out. Deer seasons are right here upon us. Most of the country starts up here in about 2 weeks. Some are already going. I know my season starts in 2 days, which is pretty cool. I'm excited. Be safe, wear a harness in the stand this year so you can go home to your loved ones. God bless, and as always, it's a new day in the outdoors.